Thank you. Well, if you haven't been suspicious so far this afternoon, I might just make you a little bit more suspicious. You know, as I put together these slides, I thought, you know, really these tips are really for any age. Tonight, what I'm trying to do is give you a little bit of an overview in terms of your actual day-to-day banking and some best practices. We've heard a lot about some online cyber threats, you know, the potential risk with doing internet banking and internet, you know, downloads and things like that. But I want to just touch on some of the basic banking things that you experience in your day-to-day life. Just briefly, some financial best practices. You know, obviously you've heard so far tonight, never provide any type of financial information, sensitive information, debit card information, PIN numbers over the phone or email or through links on the internet. That's obvious. But there's some other obvious things that, you know, we all have workmen come to the house. You know, you might be off doing something in the yard while somebody's working in your house. Don't keep checkbooks lying aside. Don't keep them, you know, out in the open. You know, it's those type of things that people can, believe it or not, still are taking checks and making fraudulent checks. We know so much about cybercrime because that's the vogue thing. But there's still some old-fashioned crime out there. Avoid writing a blank check. Again, you know, seems obvious, but don't leave it to someone else to fill in the dollar amount. And if you take nothing away from tonight, as far as my presentation is concerned, please make sure you understand that reviewing your account statements, whether they're your credit card statements, your monthly checking account statements, review them for activity. If you catch something early, and the law provides for 60 days, don't wait that long, but as soon as you see something that seems unusual, it may not end up being unusual, or it may not be fraudulent, but as soon as you note something that just doesn't seem right, go notify your banker, go into the branch and speak to someone, and we can handle it for you. With online banking and all of the debit cards, ATM cards, buying things online, most people are not going into branch banking anymore. They're not going into the branches. But it's never too late to still establish a rapport with someone in that local branch. Believe it or not, we still, the tellers and the folks in the branches, still get to know their customers and can recognize things that just don't seem right. An elderly person who has never had an ATM or a debit card before and all of a sudden is asking for one, you know, maybe there's a legitimate reason for it, but it might be something that, you know, bears investigating. All of a sudden, that elderly person is making large withdrawals. Again, you know, something unusual that when you have a relationship with a branch person, that is helpful. Again, notify your bank immediately if anything seems suspicious. Again, the law provides that if you notify us in writing, and again, it doesn't have to be something that you write a letter to us. You stop into the bank and you fill out an affidavit, a form, and that tells us, gee, I didn't write this check, I didn't make this ATM withdrawal. I did remember losing my debit card or my ATM card. If you notify us within 60 days, that money is refunded to you. It's up to the bank then to follow up. And again, you've heard it mentioned here tonight, if you use online banking or you check your credit card account, use complex passwords. Don't rely on the same password for every account. Use strong passwords. The better you use strong passwords, the less likely they're going to be compromised. Just a little bit of discussion about your bank accounts. It's very commonplace to add a son or a daughter's name to an account. that provides access and assistance in managing your daily financial affairs. And the benefits can certainly outweigh the risks of that. But there are some things that you need to be wary of. You know, certainly if you have a trusted family member that you know is going to take good care of your finances and you add them to your account, then that's okay. An individual account, no one else can have access to that other than you. But as soon as you add an additional name, no matter who that is, that person has full access to your account and can withdraw all of your money without the permission of the other individual, regardless of who's deposited it. And in some circumstances, creditors can also access money from a joint account if that joint holder, for some reason, has delinquent loan obligations with the bank. They can, after a court-ordered judgment, can attach that account. So again, you need to use judgment before you add someone to your account. The same goes for credit card accounts as it does for bank accounts. Whether you have an individual account that only you can use, if you allow someone to be an authorized user, they can run up charges on that account, and you are fully responsible for it. It seems obvious, but to a lot of people it doesn't. A lot of people think, oh, it's only what that person has charged that they're liable for. No, you're liable for it. You're the account holder. With respect to joint credit cards, again, this is a joint owner of that credit card, not just an authorized user. Each person is responsible. If you have a setup where a son or daughter is joined on that because they're doing purchases for you, but they start using it for their own discretion, and if that son or daughter is planning to do the paying of the bills and taking care of the bills for you, if for some reason a payment is missed or there's delinquencies, that is going to go against your credit. If you're not sure, call the bank. Just because there's someone else's on that account, you have full right to request any type of information on that account. Even if someone else is doing the primary financial handling, for you on your behalf, you have the right to get any type of financial information and what is set up on that. As far as just a side note, divorce or separation doesn't automatically change or cancel a joint credit account. You have to close the account. If you have any suspicion that an account is being mishandled, whether it's a bank account, savings, checking, or a credit account, request to close the account and open up a new one. That's the only safe way to handle it. If you're not comfortable, consider closing the accounts, as I just mentioned. The best way to do that is, to approach the banker. You usually have to make a written request. A lot of credit cards are from banks out of town, but on the back of your statements, it gives you all the information that you need. But any banker would be able to, even if it's not, the bank of account that's handling that credit card. I'm sure any banker in your local branch where you have your checking and your savings account could help you navigate through, what has to be done with something like that. If charges have been incurred that are fraudulent, truly fraudulent, again, you have the 60 days in which to notify, and that bank will give you credit immediately. And then it's up to the bank to go after and pursue that. The inactive status that I refer to here, again, if someone has legitimately used your account and it's not fraudulent, but you no longer want them using the account and you want to close it, then you can put that account on an inactive status until it can be paid off. Protecting your credit is a variety of ways, but we also see many people, time and time again, elderly have been asked to pledge their homes for collateral for a son or a daughter or a grandson or a granddaughter. You need to know that if you do that, you are 100% liable for that loan. Make sure, the banks are required to make sure that you can afford that loan, but if the borrower stops paying, this is going to go against your credit. So don't sign any loan or mortgage before you are 100% sure this is what you want to do. What other way you can protect your credit is to review your credit bureau report on an annual basis. In your bags, there's a brochure that we've provided, and it gives you all of the information on how to contact the various credit bureau agencies. And you can pull your credit every year from each of them. They're not going to give you a credit score, but that's not really necessary. You just want to review your credit to make sure there's no new inquiries or new activity and new accounts that you're not aware of. Some people can get your information and legitimately open an account and then stop paying it, so you're not getting delinquency calls, and then all of a sudden charge up a host of items, and then they don't pay. So it is something that you should do on an annual basis. The last thing is just power of attorney. We see this quite a bit. This is a very legitimate legal document that allows you to assign someone to manage your affairs. It can be as broad or as limited as you want. It can help you if you become incapacitated. You can change it at any time. It ceases to be valid upon your death, but you should have absolute confidence in who you designate as your power of attorney. And it's best to seek legal advice when doing that. You don't want to be downloading blank forms off the internet. In conclusion, you have the right to feel safe. I always use the gut check. You know, if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't smell right, it probably isn't right. You should never feel pressure to do any of these things. Step back, ask a banker, ask somebody you trust, and they usually can guide you. Thank you.